we'll get on with our program. Marc Ehrhardt has served as Executive Director since the Grow Louisiana Coalition inception in January 2014. In his role, Ehrhardt leads the Coalition's mission to raise public awareness and rally support for Louisiana's energy industry, emphasizing its importance to the state's economy, job market, and coastal restoration efforts. I introduce to you New Orleans native Marc Ehrhardt.
Thank you. All right. Hi. My brother is a church pastor in St. Tammany Parish, and he taught me this, to take your watch off and put it up here when you get started to hopefully not go over any time. And nobody's ever kicked us out of a room for being finishing early. So I want to make sure we go the right distance here. This is I was saying to our friends over here, this is like the third time I think I've had the opportunity to present and talk at the Petroleum Club of Morgan City. And I want to begin by thanking every one of you for what you do for Louisiana's energy industry every day, and what you've done and your families have done for more than 100 years. Because what the rest of the world, I think now, especially under the administration we're living in out of DC, I think there's a greater appreciation for what the people of oil and gas do for the rest of the world. And I know that there's commitments coming out of DC to make sure that the world knows about our role as Americans in how we generate energy for the rest of the world. And then more specifically, I think there's opportunities for us to talk about Louisiana's role in that. Because every innovation that has happened in oil and gas development over the last 100 years has had somebody from Louisiana at the forefront. Somebody from Louisiana was there when the first well was drilled. Louisiana, in fact, may have had one of the first wells, if not the first well that was ever drilled on land. Every time we've gone deeper in the Gulf of America, whoever's filming, every time we've gone to the deepest depths of the Gulf of America, somebody from Louisiana was there. In the Indian Ocean, there are people from Louisiana who are making energy development go all the time. The unfortunate part of what's happening is that the rest of the world benefits from Louisiana's innovation and leadership when it comes to oil and gas. But in Louisiana, we aren't doing enough to protect and look for ways to grow the industry. And there's some friends I know with us today that are here quite frequently. I know former Senator Arlan is here, and he's been a great champion of the industry. I know we have some other elected officials that are here. This area of the state is the heart, as you know, of oil and gas in Louisiana. And the people we elect here are protecting the industry every day. Now, does that go all the way up to the state capitol and the governor's mansion? Unfortunately, and this might not be very popular, especially since they're filming me, but this governor is in a position where he has to pick sides against where we are going to go as an energy industry moving forward. And right now, the governor and the attorney general in particular are picking the wrong side. They have made a decision, the attorney general in particular has made a decision to sacrifice Louisiana's energy economy at the altar of trial lawyers. We are facing billions and billions of dollars in lawsuits against the largest investors of oil and gas in Louisiana right now. Right now. I guarantee you, right now, there is a trial lawyer somewhere in the 20-parish Louisiana coastal zone who is on the phone or having lunch with some elected official at a parish level encouraging them to sue the oil and gas business. I know it because when we were in Houma about 2 months ago, 3 months ago maybe, we presented this exact discussion to the South Central Industrial Association, and within 24 hours, the then parish president, Lafouche, called me and said, Mark, a lawyer just called the council chairman wanting to talk to the council about suing the oil and gas business. There's going to be a hearing and a special meeting 2 weeks from now. That is the unfortunate thing that we aren't talking about when we get to the governor and the attorney general. We are talking about a lot of good things in Louisiana, a lot of things that are progressing. But once we get to the discussion of what happens, Governor or Attorney General, with suing the largest investors in the state, they don't say anything. And they're doing it in direct opposition to what President Trump and the administration out of Washington wants. So, welcome, everybody. So as we get going, we've been telling the story of the oil and gas business for more than 10 years. And one of the questions we get sometimes is, man, Mark, you've been going around talking about lawsuits and oil and gas for 10 years? I'm like, yeah. Aren't you sick of talking about lawsuits? I'm like, yeah. Tired of it. But what we've done, and I actually think one of the first presentations we ever made was in this room. And at the time, I think we may have had 100 supporters that were part of the Grow Louisiana Coalition. Today, we are at 102,000 Louisianians who have signed on to show their support for oil and gas in the state. This part of the state is the heart of the movement, and we have a lot of work to do and a lot of places to go because we're talking about the people and future of oil and gas in the state because there are great opportunities ahead. We just have to be wide-eyed and vocal in our leadership pursuing them. This is what we're up against right now, that we are falling behind as an energy-producing state because of the way that we're treating larger businesses that can come and invest here, okay? There's a lot of discussion around liquefied natural gas, a lot of activity happening in Plaquemine, Southwest Louisiana. All of those are very new companies, many of which y'all may be working with right now. Those are great developments, all right? We read a lot about the Meta facility in Richland Parish, and huge investment that's developed over the last year. It's going to be a facility, I guess, is going to be larger than the island of Manhattan in New York City. It's going to be massive. Massive opportunity for the state. The part that's being ignored right now is the investment being done by some of the world's most recognizable energy companies that have been in Louisiana for 100 years. What you don't see happening right now are companies like Chevron coming into Louisiana and announcing new projects. Exxon has massive investments here, one of the largest refineries on the face of the earth in East Baton Rouge Parish, and they're continuing, thankfully, to invest in that. And they're trying to do other types of investments, but there's uncertainty in our larger business climate when it comes to oil and gas. When you look at oil and gas activity in the state of Louisiana, there's North Louisiana development, which is picking up in recent months, and then there's the deep water. That's it. There's a smattering of rigs working in South Louisiana, but nothing compared to what it was in 2014 or prior. But nationally, even internationally, there's a message around energy independence, American energy dominance. Texas is slamming. Slamming. Well, what are they doing differently than what we're doing? And one of those things is that there's greater certainty when you want to do business in Texas. You know what the rules are. You know if you break the rules, what the penalties are. In Louisiana, we don't have that type of certainty. We have complete uncertainty. And what we're doing and what we've done over decades is tell companies to come invest here. We want you to invest here. And then once they get here and they follow the rules that are in place and pay taxes and do all those things, we turn around and let them get sued for doing work that was permitted. So we're saying, come into the state. We're going to permit your activities because you're following the rules that we have. We're going to give you a permit to do this. The companies go do it. 40 years later, the state, with the encouragement of the Attorney General and now the Governor, is, well, now we're going to sue you for it. All the rules we set up don't matter. That's a problem. Businesses don't want to invest in places, especially huge ones, where there's uncertainty in the climate. We have out-of-town special interest groups that have invaded in the state. $100 million being spent by environmental groups in Louisiana to try and convince people that the people who make these different petrochemical facilities in the oil and gas business go aren't doing the right thing. It's a constant battle that's taking place, and you see it especially online. And then there's out-of-state competition. I don't need to tell you all about that. You're having to compete every day, right? In terms of where we're having to explain what we do and where we do it, and that we're the best at it. And the trick is we just need to try and turn those headwinds into tailwinds. $745 million is on that screen by itself for a reason. In April of this year, a jury in Plaquemines Parish awarded, I'm trying to use the right legal term. A jury in Plaquemines Parish secured a verdict against Chevron for $745 million in what you may be familiar with as the coastal lawsuits, where the argument that was being made, and it worked its way through the court over about 11 years, where trial lawyers were arguing that Chevron was doing work that it wasn't permitted to do or beyond its permits, and they didn't do what they were supposed to do. The jury comes back in Plaquemines with a $745 million judgment. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I was not involved in any of the lawsuit conversations and what happened in the courtroom. I wasn't even in the courtroom. But what I know is, when you look at companies like Chevron, they were doing permitted work in Plaquemines Parish. And they were sued under laws that didn't even exist when the permits were issued. That's a problem. Here's the bigger problem. $745 million verdict. And before the trial lawyers left the courthouse in Plaquemines Parish, they told a reporter from NOLA.com, don't say $745 million, we're going for $1 billion. We think we can get $400 million in legal fees. That is the problem. That is the problem. And when the Attorney General of Louisiana was asked about this, she doubled down and said, not only do I support the verdict, I think it should move forward. $745 million against a company who did permitted work in the state, plus another $400 million for a bunch of lawyers. I'm sorry, I know there's at least one lawyer in here who's very nice, and I said hi. My man's over there. He also is a realist, because we were talking about the U.S. Supreme Court, and he goes, man, I don't know if I'd want to go to the U.S. Supreme Court to decide my case. I'm like, yeah, I know. But that $745 million is one thing. Trial lawyers saying to us, before we even leave the courthouse, we're going for $400 million more, is where the core of the problem is. First, all of this is being appealed. All of it. I will be a very old man, I believe, somewhere before anything ever gets resolved related to somebody, Plaquemines Parish getting a check. That's my own opinion. The difficulty here is the message it's sending. Because the moment that this verdict was passed along, other trial lawyers connected to the trial lawyers that pled the case in Plaquemines Parish were going into parish councils and police juries saying, we have a verdict now. Now it's time to go in and sue. Thinking they can break the industry. That's what this is about. They're saying things in the media like, well, no, once we get these lawsuits done, then we can move on. Then the industry can grow in Louisiana. Lawsuits don't help relationships, they end them. I've run into very few people who have gotten divorced through a long legal proceeding who are like, man, my relationship with my ex-wife has gone really well since we sued the hell out of each other. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. Now, the $745 million verdict, actually, I would argue, may have come a little bit early, because the argument that Chevron and now Exxon are making to the U.S. Supreme Court is that all of this stuff should have never been in court in Louisiana. It should have been in federal court, because a lot of this work was done during World War II, when essentially the federal government nationalized the oil and gas production for the war effort. Now that's worked its way through the courts, and now the U.S. Supreme Court's going to hear the argument this fall, and then comes with its own decision early next summer. And if they agree that this should have been in federal court, that $745 million is useless. All that time, all that work for nothing. You're starting over. Except we get all the bad headlines and face more and more stories about how trial lawyers are running the state. And we need to move past it. But this is the reality of where we are. Trial lawyers came for our cars, and we have the highest auto insurance rates in the country. They came for our houses, and we have the highest homeowners insurance in the country. In the country. And now they're coming for our jobs. This is about the business economy of Louisiana and the future of oil and gas in the state versus the trial lawyer economy. A select few making huge sums of money for themselves. How many people watch TV in the morning? Right? I don't need to. Look, at one point, I know this is when the senator was still in the legislature, because I think we may have sent him some of this information so he had it. We counted all the billboards for trial lawyers between St. Charles Parish and Port Fourchon, and along I-10, both directions between Slidell and Lake Charles. We counted the trial lawyer billboards because everybody kept saying, man, it's a lot of billboards. We got a lot of billboards. So we're like, yeah, we're going to go count them. They had a trial lawyer billboard, I think 7 out of every 10 billboards was something about suing somebody else. On TV, $50 million spent in a year on ads just in Louisiana. They're the #1 advertiser in the state. All we're doing is talking about suing each other. We have to move past it because the industry is what the future of Louisiana is around. Where we're going and where we can go as a state is built around what we can do in terms of the safe, efficient, innovative production of oil and gas. That's it. It's really the same as it's been for 100 years. It's opportunity. We've always innovated when it came to the energy industry. We always have. The people in this room are the ones doing the innovations. But we have to seize the opportunity that's in front of us. Instead, when you go ask the leaders of the state, well, what about suing all these companies who could invest in the state? You don't hear a thing. And that's what's really difficult about being up here, is because we have a governor who is advancing so many issues, right? Advancing so many issues about the future of the state. But on this one, when it comes to pick sides, he's picking the wrong side. He's picking the wrong side. And when someone asks him about it, he don't want to talk about it. The Attorney General not only is picking the wrong side, but is going to keep picking the wrong side. All you have to do is read the quotes, and I'll show you some in just a second. But all you need to know is that not only is she in on this stuff, she's in with gusto. In with gusto. And because her actions don't match her words. All right, this is where the state of the lawsuits are. So you have 20 parishes in the coastal zone of Louisiana. 7 parishes over the course, really, more than 10 years ago, decided to file lawsuits against a total of about 44 to 48 energy companies that have been doing work in the state of Louisiana in the coastal zone, or had purchased through buying and selling companies that had been doing permitted work in years prior. What you will see up here is you see a lot of red in southeast Louisiana, a lot of red southwest Louisiana. Those are the parishes that have sued. Plaquemines Parish was the first case to go to a jury. The next case is in federal court in New Orleans, and that's Orleans Parish, where the mayor of New Orleans, when she first got into the office, filed a lawsuit against companies around climate issues. So that's going to be in federal court. It's currently scheduled to begin in February. After that, there are no other cases that have a trial date right now. This is taking forever, right? What you see in blue, in between the red, statements and votes that they will not sue the industry. You see places like Lafourche and Terrebonne, St. Mary, St. Martin, Iberia. All of those places are at the heart of the opposition to not suing the industry, because the people over here look and go, a future with the industry can produce more benefits and value than looking at someone and saying, I'm going to sue you. But don't worry, our relationship will get better. Lawsuits don't help relationships, they end them. And it is a daily fight. It's a daily fight. We've had multiple situations in different parishes over the last 10 years, Vermilion Parish being a good example. The Vermilion Parish police jury voted unanimously twice to not sue the industry. But they don't have the power to decide that. The district attorney of Vermilion Parish is the one who has the power to decide. So I forget the gentleman who was the district attorney in 2013 when that first lawsuit was filed. By the way, the district attorney did it in opposition to the police jury. Police jury said, don't sue. DA said, nope. Boom. New district attorney comes in, says on the campaign trail, I am not going to sue the industry. Gets into office. Rumors start. oh, well, that was an old police jury. If the new police jury votes to not sue, then I'll listen to that police jury. Police jury comes back, unanimous. We do not want to sue. The district attorney says, well, it's in federal court and everything stayed, so I can't do anything. That sucker's been stuck in neutral in Vermilion Parish going on 4 years now, against the wishes of multiple police jury administrations in Vermilion Parish. Lafourche Parish voted 3 times in 10 years, 3 times to not sue. My question is, why is it taken 3 times? After Lafourche, the last parish council about 2 months ago, voted to not sue, gentleman come from down the bayou, man, he comes out, introduces himself to me, he says, man, I don't know how many times we're gonna have to vote no on this before people get the gist. I'm telling you that St. Mary, St. Martin, Iberia, all those places in blue, and the reason why I'm being emphatic with all of you, because you may be like, man, I've heard this before, and you have. The problem is, this fight is happening every day. The trial lawyers have enough money and enough time to try and wait out the people of the industry. We have a new district attorney in this part of the state. That district attorney tomorrow, a district attorney is probably getting 1 call a day, if I had to guess, about whether to sue the industry or not. And he can, because of the way some things are set up. Even against parish councils who've stayed consistent. They don't want to sue the industry. But the main reason why I'm here with you today is to give you an update on what's going on, but more than anything, encourage you for this organization. When this subject came up in St. Mary Parish in 2022, this organization was key to stopping the movement, was key to keep the parish elected officials informed about the public's desire not to sue, and they didn't do it. But I'm telling you, that fight's not finished, that this fight's going to come back around, purely because there's a different person that's the district attorney now. It's unfortunate how this has happened, but there's a different person now. So now there's a different line of attack. You just need to know it. And know that, don't be surprised if you get an email from us and what's going on. All right. I'm going to try and lighten this up in a second. Remember when I was saying the Attorney General in the state and where her position is? The President of the United States in April of this year issued an executive order that called for any frivolous litigation in energy-producing states to be removed, and for states' attorneys general and other officials to clear the way from overly burdensome regulations and other things for America to move forward in its mission and agenda for energy dominance. That's April of this year, after the Plaquemines Parish verdict. Soon after that executive order, 16 attorneys general from around the country signed a letter together saying to the Attorney General of the United States and the President, we support the executive order and we are going to make moves to remove overly burdensome regulations and get out of the lawfare business. These are the people in the states that signed. Just going to let this sit for a second. That's the one name you don't see on this list. I hope it changed because I did it like I wasn't looking. The Attorney General of Louisiana's words do not match her actions. If you believe in the energy agenda and you believe in the President's energy agenda and Louisiana's leadership position, why didn't you sign that letter? Texas signed it, Florida signed it, Arkansas signed it, Alabama signed it. Why not Louisiana? And she has not answered that question. I'm going to tell you why not. Because we are sacrificing ourselves at the altar of the trial lawyer economy. That's why. And we have the power to stop it. I know that there are good things that the Attorney General is doing, and I know that there are good things that the governor is doing. I also know we're not going to agree on everything. But the only way, what's worked in every parish to keep this industry going, is for the people of the industry to speak up. Because what happens is, in all these parishes, they don't want to talk about it. The Attorney General doesn't want to talk about lawsuits against the largest oil and gas companies on earth. She doesn't want to talk about it because when she has to justify her position in being against the industry, which means she's against the people of the industry. She'll talk about anything else. Call Baton Rouge right now, man. Ask them about National Guard troops going to D.C. They'll talk to you all day about it. Ask them about coastal lawsuits and how they're going to stop it. Forget about Plaquemines Parish. There are 7 other parishes out there that have lawsuits that are sitting there that this attorney general and the governor could stop like that. But they're doing nothing. Nothing. And it's hurting the industry. It's hurting our opportunity and innovation. Now, this industry in the region, this is I'm telling you this already. I mean, if I was going to Monroe and I was like, hey, the Bayou region's the heart of the industry, they'd be like, wow. Come to the Bayou region and say, y'all are the heart of the industry. You're like, yeah, I know. All right? We have some updated stats on how important the industry is. Right now, we're moving according to an agenda of energy dominance, right? We're moving in that direction. A year ago at this time, we didn't have somebody running the country who wanted to go in that direction. They were making excuses to go the other way. The CEO of Chevron was interviewed by the New York Times a couple of weeks ago, and he said something about demand. He said, we meet the demand. We meet the demand. The demand of the people who need the products we create. He said, if we stopped making oil and gas right now, the world would stop. Because the people of the world need what we create. The people of the world need what Louisiana creates. There's all kinds of opportunity there for us if we choose to seize it. Because the industry is not as big as it was 20 years ago. It's not as big as it was. At one point, we represented, 10 years ago, 1 out of every 6 jobs in the state. Now that's more like 1 out of every 7. But we still represent a quarter of the state's total economy. Go in your business and try to take out 25% of what your revenue is. Blast a hole right through your operations, right? That's what the industry means to the state of Louisiana and our future. We have more than 300,000 jobs in the state. And that's the people working directly, going off on hitches on the rigs, people working for the supply companies, building boats, selling houses, buying houses, doing all those types of things. 306,000 people in Louisiana are doing that. And it's everywhere, in every parish of the state. And that's about 15% of the employment. In this part of the state, there are 62,000 people who work in oil and gas, or in an industry affiliated with oil and gas. And they earn more than almost $5 billion a year. It's a massive amount, And we're risking it, essentially. Our leaders are risking it, certain leaders, I want to be careful, are willing to risk that to help people who sue each other for a living. And it just doesn't make sense anymore. It doesn't make sense anymore. Now, what I believe we can do as an industry is we can keep innovating. We can keep innovating in what we do. Louisianians need to stay at the forefront of where energy development is going, because that's where the opportunity is. And that's where we know how to take care of the opportunity. We need to push at the same time for the state to move us further ahead in embracing innovation and opportunity, not giving us a bunch of reasons why we can't compete with places like Texas. We have to start moving more aggressively as the people of the industry and the business to move the state forward to create a better environment for large companies to invest here. And it's not like, oh, we have to create all these different things. Just make it clear about what the rules of the game are. Give businesses a greater sense of confidence that when they come invest in Louisiana, after about 20 years, they won't get sued out of existence. That's what we're looking for, right? We should follow the president's executive order, and this is what it was. This came out on April 8th. He talks about subjecting energy producers to arbitrary or excessive fines through retroactive penalties, or seek to control energy development, siting, and production. State laws and policies that are fundamentally irreconcilable with his administration's objective to unleash American energy. They should not stand. 16 states' attorneys general signed a letter together saying they agreed with this, except for Louisiana. And this is where I'm going to finish. I will tell you that when the people of the industry speak up, and that's one of the greatest things that we've been able to do, or we've seen as Grow Louisiana since we started in 2014, is that the people of the industry have the courage to stand together and to speak up. And when they talk to their parish officials and when they talk to their state leaders, they get listened to. Because people say, they go, well, Mark, what can we do to help? What can we do to help? The first thing is, whenever you run into a parish council person, a police juror, parish president, administrator, your state rep, your state senator, the governor of Louisiana, don't be afraid to tell them that the industry is important to you. And it's important in your community, and you expect them to do the things they need to do to support the industry to move it forward. Tell them. They need to hear from you. Now, I would say tell them calmly, but with a forceful tone. We don't need to yell, right? But don't be afraid to say that you support the industry. When we first started, there were a lot of people, engineers, man, they just want to go about their job, right? They're like, I'm working hard. I'm earning a living. I'm going to do my thing. It's like, hey, will you go tell somebody? They just want to get to work. By getting 102,000 people together in a place where they know that the people of the industry are together and moving forward, it's empowered people. People are more willing to talk about the industry outside of this part of the state, and that's great. And we need to keep doing it. And the reason why I feel good about it and where we're going is purely because Lafourche Parish, faced with all this pressure, after Plaquemines Parish, in my opinion, made a horrible error in judgment in that verdict of $745 million, Plaquemines Parish stood up and said, we're not going to be a part of this. We're not going to be a part of it. We believe in our partnership and future with the industry, and we're not going to end a relationship. We're going to keep growing it. Just to show you how much trouble it causes, y'all know who the one vote was? The council chairman. The council chairman, who everybody thought was the one who was most with the industry. He was the one who voted to sue. Takes a lot of courage, I guess, to be on the one in a 6-1 vote, I guess. But he picked sides. He picked sides. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have. I know there are a few people being like, man, I hope there's dessert to make me feel better. But I appreciate everything that y'all do for the industry, what you do for the state of Louisiana. Thank you. If you want more information, go to growlouisianacoalition.com. You can send us an email anytime. Happy to go. I know Tully and I were talking. We're going to go to Lafayette and go update them on what's going on with lawsuits in the industry. If you'd like us to come talk to a group, we'll do it. We'll do it because people need to know what's going on. So thank you all. I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you. Oh, gentleman in the back. I'm sorry? Total? Man, I gotta go back and look. I wasn't in the car counting them. But, I mean, I think it was close to, it was at least 500. It was somewhere probably between 500 and 1,000 ultimately, back and forth. And we chose the I-10 because it's the most traveled, and then down to Fouchon because it's so specific to the industry and stuff. I mean, basic advertising strategy is you go where the people are, right? So, but yeah, it's that many. We have actually, and I'm happy to share it with the group, we actually have a report that was done, Americans for Tort Reform, actually study the amount of advertising that is spent around the country in each state by trial lawyers. And I've got the breakdown. Essentially, in Louisiana specifically, there's a trial lawyer ad every 30 seconds, including like across a 24-hour period.
Did you say you're going to Lafayette today?
Not today, but soon. Tully's going to hook me up.
Let's say be ready to count.
All right.
More between the library and Lafayette before the state.
Well, I mean, and it makes sense, right? I mean, that's what it makes sense when what we found out by doing the counting and actually just going and doing it is that there's a whole strategy behind it. You want to talk about maritime accidents and all types of things? Well, they know that the people of the industry are driving those roads. And they treat it, look at the TV ads you're looking at. Forget about whether it's oil and gas. What they're doing is offering people a lottery ticket. You would think there was a big rig accident in the state of Louisiana every second compared to if you just looked at the TV ads telling you to sue people who drive trucks. I mean, I don't know how many rig accidents are in the state at any given time in a day, But man, based on the ads, it's a lot, it would seem. But, any other questions?
Mark, I would just add to your statistics, that you said there were 306,000 energy workers, there's 18,000 trial attorneys, there's one attorney general and one governor.
Yeah. I mean, and you can see the pattern. You can see the pattern. And that's what's difficult in terms of talking about this relative to the governor in particular, is that I know the governor's from Lafayette, and I believe that the governor supports oil and gas. I know it. I believe that he supports the industry. He wants the industry to do well. Maybe that's the best way to put it. I do think that this governor wants the industry to do well. Unfortunately, that support stops when the trial lawyers start. He wants the industry to do well until the trial lawyers sue the industry. And then he doesn't want to talk about it at all. That's the most troubling part. And my position with the Attorney General is much different. I'm just straight up disappointed in her position. There is no gray area in the position where she can tell us about, oh no, she put an op-ed in a Washington newspaper saying she's one of the most pro-energy attorneys general and officials in Louisiana. She believes in the energy agenda. Well, then why didn't you sign the letter? The words don't match the actions. So we could talk about all this other stuff, going all these places, right? Supporting the federal agenda when it comes to immigration, crime, all those types of things. But all you got to do is say, well, why haven't you stopped the coastal lawsuits in the coastal zone? You get crickets. And I know it's not popular to say that because we have both the governor and the attorney general I think are popular. But it's just, they pick sides. And we just happen to be on the opposite side. So, yes, I'm going to make this the last question because I know we're tight on one and I'm going to talk to an empty room if we go past one. Yes, sir.
It's not a question or comment. $400 million. That's the problem.
How you mean? Oh, 400 million. Yeah, the fees. Yeah. Mr. Hidalgo said the problem for anybody, he said the problem is the 400 million bucks. And he's right. To have the courage, courage is the wrong word, to have the gumption to look a reporter in the face after a $745 million judgment comes in your favor and to say to a reporter, no, that's not the right number. We're going for $1 billion, 400 million in fees. After, by the way, spending a decade telling everybody who would listen, you're not going to make a penny off the deal. You go back and look at the articles and the public statements that were made. Oh no, I'm not doing it for the money. I'm not doing it for the money. I'm doing it for the good of the coast. They aren't even out of the courthouse. 400 million bucks they want to go get. That's the kind of environment businesses have to operate in. So I'm going to turn this around though. Thank you for what you do for the industry. Thank you, Senator, for what you've done to the industry. My friend over here, thank you for what you're doing in the industry in Baton Rouge right now. We all appreciate what the people of oil and gas are doing in Louisiana and the people of this part of the state. I appreciate the opportunity to come talk to you. I promise I'm going to come back and talk about something more fun. Thank you all.
Thank you, Mark.